What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the podcast. Hello, how are you today? I'm your host, Mitch Corbett, and today's guest is fantastic. She is a wonderful human being. Her name is Joanne Fearns. She has started her own business called Ish Nutrition, and the concept of that, she's a lifestyle analyst, and so she'll take a prick of your blood, and she'll kind of tell you what needs to change in your diet and everything. But her story is so much more grander than just that. So she has a really fun and hectic story, actually, but she's come out of everything for the better, and that's why I wanted to have her on this podcast, because I've only met her a handful of times, but each time you can tell that she's a very special person, and I hope that you guys can take that away from this episode of the podcast. So let's get to it. Let's talk to Joanne Fearns.
I just like this annoying little pop-up, like, oh good, I've broken it already.
Just like the hearts of many, many men, I assume.
I mean, it's a hard job. Someone has to do it.
Yeah, all my exes did that for some reason too. I don't know what. You're one of them, damn you.
Yeah, I'm a terrible human. I've just accepted it, really, and like added sass to a lot of things, and then it just makes everything better.
But like, can you be a terrible person if you know you're a terrible person? Like, at least you're living your own true self, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
but those are called sociopaths.
So you're saying you're a sociopath?
Nah, I have emotion. I just don't care as much about it.
And in this therapy session of Hello, how are you today? We're gonna get to the bottom of what makes Joanne Fearns tick.
Joke's on you. That's Tuesdays at 7:30 with my therapist.
All right, well, let's get into it. Joanne Fearns, welcome to the podcast. Hello, how are you today? How are you doing on this lovely Sunday afternoon as we're recording this?
Honestly, it's been a really, really pretty day. I've been loving it. Now, I will warn you, there may or may not be a random cat just like...
Oh yeah, I left my door open so my cats can come and say hi as well, don't worry.
Excellent. Okay, just thought I would let you know ahead of time.
So Joanne, you have a real fascinating story. I've got to meet you through the TV show Women Who Lead, where you talk to the lovely Christy Primer about that. But I want to get you on the podcast to talk a little bit more in depth about your past, your present, and your future, because you have so many things going on that I think I'm wondering how your head doesn't explode and everything. So let's start with Ish Nutrition, shall we? Ish Nutrition is your own business. You are a live cell analyst. And so you kind of like, people give you their blood and you kind of tell them what's wrong with them, sort of thing. So kind of explain how you got into that field of science.
Of doing it. Yeah. So I always had an interest in health and health related holistic field. So I've been doing the holistic field since I was like 20 something. So we're looking at like 14 years of this type of background. And honestly, when I grow up, I wanted to be two things. Either I wanted to be a journalist or I wanted to be like a police detective. Now, clearly, neither of those were a very good idea because, well, I just probably shouldn't do it.
I'm assuming that you're not a big fan of writing with your hands.
I'm not, no. There's a lot of things, but one of the reasons I really love doing what I do is that I got to combine a lot of my passions all in one segment. So I'm able to look at somebody and say, you know what, this is what's going on with you. This is the history of what's going on with you. This is really the underlying issue with my experience in the health food industry and in the holistic industry. And then I can take my deductive reasoning and my detective work and things like that or when I take the sample. So when I look at the blood, I look under the microscope and I project it onto a monitor. Now, I might see 17 things wrong with you, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do 17 different things about it. I'm going to find the root of the problem, and that's what we're going to be working with. That's what we're going to fix, as opposed to just dealing with the symptoms you might be having. Because I don't care about the symptom. I care about the system it's affected by.
So like, it sounds like such a unique career choice, and like how did that passion spark to like become a lifestyle analyst?
So Frank Yazdani is the owner of Blue Water Nutrition. He's been in practice and in business for about 25 years, I think it is this year. And he is the lifestyle technician at the store. And for many years, I'd always be asking to borrow his books and to look and to research. And I would ask to sit in on appointments, and I would inundate him with 1,000 questions and always be very interested in the details of what he's doing. And then when honestly, when COVID happened, I was the manager of Blue Water Nutrition, and you know what? We just really got talking the one day, and he said, "You know what? You're wasting your time." I was like, "Sir,
I'm
so
not used to
aggressive."
such honesty. Okay, please give me a give me a give
Yeah,
me a
but
warning when you're gonna hit me with some real life shit. Okay.
exactly. But the reason why he said that was we had a conversation about the fact that I was very good at what I did. I love what I do is as a manager, and I love working on the floor with the customers and the clients and the staff and that sort of thing. But I mean, without sounding like a complete dick here, I was smarter than that. I was more than that. And it took a couple of things coming into place that I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm actually really good at this. Like, oh, I can do this. So I did
So
the
like,
course.
did you get any? Did you have to go to school for that, or like, did he train you
Yeah.
on? Did you apprenticeship sort of thing?
So I did. I sat in with several appointments of with it's Roger. I apologize.
It's okay.
So
We're
I
a cat
sat
friendly podcast over
It
here.
is. So I sat in with several of his appointments because it is something that I am highly interested in. But I actually did. I went to a course in Toronto that was also with Ryerson University, or no, sorry, Anderson's College, to get my certification for allowing me to be able to puncture someone, take the sample, and properly dispose of, well, human waste, I guess.
Mhm.
So I was able to take those. And I'm also in the last leg of my registered holistic nutrition course through the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition.
Okay, and so like, when you decided to go on this journey of because like, what were you doing before all of this? Like, did you have a path, or was like,
Yeah, I always knew that I wanted to stick in the health food industry, and I knew that I wanted to do something, but to be totally honest, there was that little like monster in my head who was basically saying, I'm not enough, I'm not smart, I'm not this, I'm not that. I no one, like, why would someone pay to come see me? All of these things. And eventually, all of those little in the back of my head got to shut the fuck up. And I was able to really put in perspective the quality of human that I am and what I offer the world and what I offer clients. So once that kind of clicked in my head, man, there was nothing stopping me. I started my business, I took the courses, I created ISH Nutrition. I put my website up, I started like once that ball got rolling, it hasn't stopped yet.
and that's awesome. So like, it's interesting for you when you say that, because like, you find you like, you're 30, you're my age, you're so 33, 34
I'm
area.
34. I just turned 34.
And like, a lot of people will always think like, oh, you have to have everything accomplished by that time. But you and I and like many more people are like, we're slowly realizing that we don't have to have everything figured out by the time we're 30. Like, I mean, we're not,
No.
the generations have changed, we're never going to be able to afford houses, blah, blah. That's weird shit.
Which can I just appreciate the fact that like I'm really glad I don't have a house. I mean, yes, I love a garden. I want chickens and like a whole farm situation. But I also don't want to mow the lawn and I don't want to have to worry about flooding in my basement or like who's gonna shovel the snow. I can just walk out of my apartment and go downstairs and it's all taken care of.
Yeah. And like, so you've had this kind of like renaissance, or not even renaissance, because renaissance would happen when, I guess, like 40 or 50. I don't know, I'm not great with history. But you found this thing that makes you happy and fulfilled, and you are passing that along, because now you have Ish Nutrition, where you get to help people. You started a 15 houses foundation, bursary, which helps people.
Yeah.
You generally just like helping people. Did that come from where does this need or wanting to help people come from?
Well, my therapist would say it's a trauma response. No, you know what? I don't know. I always just felt like we're not meant to be here just to sit on our ass and serve ourselves. I really don't like that quality, and I don't necessarily have that connection to being able to sit back and just let the world happen, let things happen to you. I'm definitely that person who would rather be active, an active participant. And I mean, growing up in foster care, you definitely see that side of humanity where people really just need compassion and they need understanding and they need support and they need love. They don't need anger, they don't need frustration, they don't need defiance, they don't need a wall and an ego that people tend to put up when confronted with something that either conflicts with what they believe, conflicts with how they feel, and they take it personally. When, well, to be perfectly honest, nothing in this world is personal. It's not, against you. It's how you take what happens to you and deal with it. So for me, with my past and with everything, I took what happened to me and said, you know what? We're not going to perpetuate that. We're going to start a new fresh. We're going to start new, and we're going to create a life that's built off of love and compassion and hope and goodness versus a life that was started out definitely on the other spectrum.
So let's talk about that other spectrum that you mentioned there. Like, you were in foster homes, and you mentioned to me that your bursary of 50 homes is based off the number of homes that you went through before you aged out and everything. So kind of give myself and everyone who might be listening like an idea of what, I don't know, foster life is like. As I mean, it sounds really shitty, but you've come out of the end of it with this great big smile and personality and positivity.
And well, thank you. Therapy. No, honestly, I can only speak to my own experiences, and yes, I had phenomenal homes while I was growing up in foster care. There were a lot of homes that were really good, and I know that a lot of the foster parents had really good intentions, but unfortunately, I just don't think that the foster parents were properly prepared to handle certain cases and certain issues that might come up in a child that is in foster care. And as much as I respect and I love the foster care system, I think it's definitely a necessary thing in this world to protect children, to protect those who need it, and in some circumstances, give biological parents help and a break and some assistance and allow those children to be reunited in a home that's safe and has now a good firm foundation to build upon. Unfortunately, I didn't necessarily have that. I did go through quite a few homes while I grew up. There's a lot of circumstantial issues that were definitely contributing factors to that, but I'll be the first one to admit, man, I was a scared, pissed off, angry at the world kid. I got taken out of my home. I had every adult possible not believe my story and believe the accusations that I gave upon. And I spent, from the time I was 7 until I went to university when I was 17, the entire time pretty much just, sitting with my own truth going, it's okay if no one believes you. It sucks, but I'm not going to take that back. I'm not going to lower myself to have an easier life or an easier way of doing this. So it was definitely a challenging experience, but it definitely allowed me to be the person I am today. And for that, I am exceptionally thankful.
Do you ever like share stories of your foster days with like your friends who are quote unquote normal, and they're like, oh my God, no.
All the time. It's actually really funny.
Like, is that how you get out of a bad day? Is you just like share it? You start sharing your drama?
Oh no, I get out of bad days by just being myself. Who are you joking? No, actually, I have every so often I have to like stop and do you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's my girlfriend Lindsay, she's a wonderful human. She sent me this meme and it was Peralta making a comment and I don't remember what it was. So if whoever is like going to watch this, you can find the meme. It's essentially him going, oh, I use humor as a trauma response, or like something about not realizing what he's saying is like as terrible as it is. I was telling a story to somebody and they like, you could read them going, and then like very slowly you could see
the face goes from a happy to just like a sad clown. It's like, oh my God, you poor thing. Let me help you. Can I adopt you? Can you come to my home? Like, I'm a grown-up. Can you, like, I have my own house.
Like it was quality, and I had to stop and go, okay, you know what? what I learned growing up in foster care and what I learned as a 34-year-old adult who's sitting in front of you here is that you have to realize that there are levels in which you can comfortably share information with other people. And a lot of that actually relies upon the fact that you have to respect other people and read them. And it's not necessarily that you don't want to share or that you don't want to necessarily tell them the story or whatever. You have to realize that there are going to be those moments that either you tell somebody something and it's going to forever change their opinion of you. They're not going to be able to handle what you have to say, and that's not fair to either of you. Or, which my best friends are, they just laugh with you and go, "Oh, that explains so much."
They have like they have like a side Facebook chat to talk about you and your stories. It's like,
Oh
oh
yeah,
my God, can you believe that Joanne shared this story again? Oh my God, what's going on?
yeah, exactly. Or they're like, "We should donate to the therapy fund." No, you know what? It was really funny. We were talking with friends, and they said they were talking about who taught them how to ride a bike, and it came to me because everyone was like sharing stories, and I sat there and I was like,
You don't know how to ride a bike?
"No, I don't remember who taught me.
Oh,
I have no
okay.
idea. I don't remember what foster home I was in. I don't remember. I truly have no idea who taught me how to ride a
So,
bike. I know I can,
so how
not
does that?
elegantly, but I know I just don't remember who."
So with the like for foster homing, right? I know nothing of that world, but you went through 15 homes. Why 15 homes? That just sounds so counterproductive for a child's growth and learning and social skills or anything like that.
Yeah,
And like if you're having to change schools as well with all those different like you're always going and fist up at a new school, like trying to, you know what I mean?
yeah, it definitely got a little bit confusing, but the good news is I got really good at like reading the room and making friends really quickly. Hence the, lovely personality you see before you. Coping mechanisms. No, you know what? The goal of foster care is always to reunite the family, right? That's the main goal. And some circumstances, well, that's just not the case. And in that case, you become what we call like crown ward, which essentially means, for lack of a better way of eloquently saying it, the government is now your parent. Like the government, they're the ones who get to say yes to sign the permission slips and things like that. So
This doesn't remind me
as
of 1984 at all. It's
yeah, it's fine. No, it's there. So
the government is watching it and letting you do everything.
yeah, so the general rule is that they do want to reunite the families, and I cannot sing the praises of foster homes, like foster parents, or when it comes to social workers, enough. They are overworked, they are underpaid, they're underappreciated, and I couldn't imagine doing their job. Like they deserve the highest praise in the world for what, in this circumstance, in my personal opinion, of what they do. Now, I moved from home to home more frequently because, well, to be totally honest, I was a difficult child, and I know that.
You're
I
also a
know
difficult
that.
adult, FYI. But go on.
I Yeah, no, yeah, but now more charming. Um,
I
but I was
distracted
I
my glasses.
yeah, I was a difficult child, and I'm not, I mean that in a, a hellion kind of way, but I was, like I had said before, I was scared. I was scared and I was alone and I was isolated from my entire world. And I think what people need to realize is when you become a foster kid, you are someone's job. And it's not always that circumstance, it's not always how that feels. If there's a good foster home, they're not meant to make you feel like a job, but when it comes down to it, you're literally someone's employee. Like you are the reason someone's employed, and there's really no way to take away from that when you think of like normal homes or normal environments. That's definitely something that I had to learn to be able to process through and grow up. But I moved around from home to home a little bit more frequently than what the system would like, because I did need a lot more assistance. And unfortunately, because of my trauma, because of, the lack of belief with what I went through and that sort of thing. It created a barrier between me and the foster parents, or me and the social workers, that unfortunately we just couldn't bridge. And so when a kid becomes a little bit too difficult, they just, they try again, and they want to find a forever home for each kid.
So you mentioned your drama a few times already. I don't want to get into what your drama is, because if you want to, you can. If you don't, whatever. But when did you first kind of like realize you had trauma, and when did you actually start taking care of it?
So I went into foster care when I was 7, and I grew up in the system. And for the longest time, I really thought I was acclimatizing really well. I was like, I can tell my story without crying. I'm fine. I've processed my emotions. I've moved past. I don't hate my biological parents. I did all those things that you see in like Hallmark movies, that's a good sign. And honestly, it wasn't until I was in my 30s, like early 30s, I'm talking like 29, 30, that bridge there, that I actually
So
kind
like
of,
3 years ago, 4 years
yeah,
ago.
no, seriously, it
Yeah.
was. And it wasn't until then that I actually got into counseling more frequently. And I remember talking to a counselor and saying about my trauma, and she's like, "Oh, like that's really crap." Like she was, having that response, and I was just like, "It is what it is." And like recently, a different counselor had said the same thing, and then she goes, "It's not normal for you to read out your story like you're reading a book." And I was like, "What do you mean?" "It means I processed it." And she goes, "Oh, honey, no." Like it means you've disassociated from it. And it wasn't until I actually started to acknowledge everything I went through as a child, everything I went through in foster care, why I do the things I did as a self-preservation mechanism, that I kind of sat down and went, "Oh, fuck. Oh my.
What
Oh,
was
that
that?
is a,
What was that drive home like after that session?
oh my God." Thankfully, because of COVID, it was all like this. So when I turned off the camera and like we ended our session, I seriously sat there for a good while going, "Oh,
Where are
I
my
had
cats? I need my cats. Someone cuddle me now.
well, I just kept saying like, "Oh, I had a terrible childhood. Oh my God, I had a horrible childhood." And it finally actually came in that I was like, "Oh my gosh." And so it's just been a process of healing, and it's been a process of relearning certain characteristic traits, and getting rid of those coping mechanisms that worked phenomenally when I was a child being abused, when I was a child in foster care, when I was a teenager living on my own in a big city. All of those served a purpose, but none of those represent me at 34 sitting in my apartment with my 2 cats needing to make, human connection. So it definitely was a catalyst moment to really deal with everything, and get my life back.
And has that catalyst moment helped you in the sense of like realizing that you want to help others with ish nutrition and with your bursary, and like maybe just even like helping people talk things out? Because I mean, like, you're 34 and you have, I guess, maybe a shit ton of like experience that people don't have, and you've been able to deal with this. I feel like you are more um acclimated to be able to help someone who's going through a hard time than someone who may not, you know.
It definitely allows me a very, how do I say this properly? I'm very thankful that it allows me to have an open mind when speaking with clients who are discussing work stress, life stress, home stress, stress
You're the
with their
mother hen,
health.
aren't you?
No, no, because here's why. Because I understand the process of self-healing, because I understand what it's like to be in that circumstance and be in that situation. Um, I'm also able to properly actually be able to say, "You know what? This isn't my place. It's not my place to make you see the light. It's not my place to force you to heal, or not my place to really counsel that situation, but it is my place to offer a safe environment for people to come in and talk freely about what they're going through, and being able to lose my ego, lose that sense of I can fix everything, because I can't." But you know what I can do? I can offer an ear. I can offer a safe environment. I can listen without judgment. And when people come into the office, they're already vulnerable. They don't need to hear someone preach. They don't need to hear somebody talk about their own issues. They don't need somebody to sit there and be like, you need to do this, and how dare you not be able to accomplish that. What they need is someone to be able to listen to them. And that's it. And that was something that was denied to me as a child growing up. Somebody just to listen to me.
And so you've talked about therapy. We were talking about listening to people and everything like that. When did you start doing therapy, and how was it your very first therapist that was able to help you, or have you had to kind of go through a process of finding that right person to talk to, sort of thing?
I've been in therapy since I was 7. Like as soon as you go into foster care, they're like, "Ooh, therapy."
Do they actually do like therapy for foster kids? Is that like part of the
Yeah, it's
curriculum?
play,
Okay.
like a lot of time is play therapist. I actually had a really good play therapist. She was lovely. No, I honestly have always been in therapy, but it wasn't until I was, like I said, that 30 range that my life just kind of went, that I actually was able to be vulnerable enough in therapy to tell the therapist what I was thinking and not be afraid of being judged. A lot of the times I wouldn't feel comfortable opening up to them to express what I'm thinking. And I use it's the health counseling center here in town. I think they have like different locations, but
This is in Sarnia, right?
yeah, so they
Yeah.
have phenomenal counselors on hand. They're all just beautiful humans. And for the first time, I felt comfortable enough to tell my therapist the things I'm in therapy for. It's really sad when you don't feel comfortable to talk to your therapist about the things you need counseling about.
Mhm.
And so, talking about exes, talking about life, talking about crying in the shower, talking about being explosively mad because they're out of almond milk at Starbucks. Like,
How
but
dare they?
right? Um, but because of that, I was able to unlock a lot of issues I didn't know I had because I felt safe enough to discuss them with somebody, and it's been helping.
Have you been able to incorporate what you've learned through your own therapy sessions and and your live cell analysts as well? Like, can you tell through someone's blood if they're overstressed, overstimulated, and they might need to see a
Yeah.
therapist?
Well, I mean, I think everyone needs to see a therapist. So just saying. No, actually, so when we do the live cell analysis, we have these things called ovalocytes, and they're little oval shaped cells. And the really cool thing about it is ovalocytes are a really key indicator to somebody's hormonal response to things. It can indicate if somebody is
And this is both
menstruating.
this is both in men and women, right? Like
So
that's
in women,
hormonal.
it's a little trickier because it could mean they're pregnant, they're menstruating, things like that. But it's also a stress hormone. So men, it's pretty easy to be like, oh, I see those. You're probably really stressed. In women, you have to kind of clarify that they're not pregnant, they're not on their cycle, and then have that discussion. And then, yeah, sometimes there might be an open discussion if they are an overly stressed human. I'll suggest certain books. So anything from John Gary Bishop, Gary John Bishop, anything from him, 10 out of 10 would listen to. Mark Manson has some good ones. Like there's a lot of books that I'll be like, you should read this. It will help you. But other than that, I will give supportive roles and outsource to other people who are way more qualified to be able to assist them in the manner that they need, because the body is not just a physical representation. The body is your emotional state, it's your physical state, it's your spiritual state. All of those are together to make who you are, and you have to take care of all of those things.
And I think the most important thing during this discussion that we're having is that like you speak well, you look great, like everything seems very well, but
I showered today. I felt really good
yeah,
about that.
and like, but like it's not done, right? You're not cured, you're not fixed. Like it's an ongoing process, and I think that's
Absolutely.
I think that's actually a great message because like I mean, I would hate to be fixed now, because then there's no room for growth. There's no learning. There's no adapting. There's no fun stuff to look forward to as you get
Exactly. And
older.
not even that is like, as life happens, you have to learn to adapt to what goes on. You have to learn to handle what comes at you. And if you think for any minute that you're done needing self growth or self awareness or anything like that, I'm concerned. So I think that you need to reevaluate how you view yourself and maybe take that ego down a little bit and just sit with yourself and go, okay, am I actually good with things? Or am I just in a safe space where I can just kind of stop for a minute, live life right now, and when something else comes up, I can address it accordingly. But no, man, I'm 34 and I'm still thinking it's necessary to talk to somebody. I think it's key to have a safe space, whether you think you need it or not.
All
It's
right. So
just
like,
like going to your friend's place, right?
so it, because like I've in the past, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks, I've thought about getting therapy myself. I haven't really settled down on what to do or how to do or anything like that, but I just feel like there's probably someone I need to talk to outside of my wife. And I'm not sure if it's just I need someone to complain about my wife, sort of thing, or like, you know what I mean? It's
It's
like what,
nice just to have somebody to
but
talk
it would
to
be,
that you feel safe with.
yeah. And so like, and then like in mentioning, like when you mentioned how like you have your trauma but people don't believe in you, that brought back some own trauma to myself, where like I remember being in grade 8 and this teacher saying, oh, I don't fucking believe you, blah blah. I'm like, I just don't even remember what happened in that situation, but you know, it just rang a bell
Yeah.
right there, right? So
It just, those are the things that stick with you.
so like talk about the process of, you know, making that decision. Like you mentioned therapy since you were 7, but that decision to, as an adult, make a decision, like knowing that's what you want as opposed to being a court appointed sort of thing.
Yeah. Um, it really came down to something in my life happened that just kind of acted like a catalyst, and it actually forced me to take a really big step backwards and go, hold on, what's going on? What is
Hold your
this?
horses. Just let's
Just
put it on the brakes a
pause. Let's
little bit.
just take what it is. And you know what, looking back, I am exceptionally thankful for that catalyst. I mean, do I wish it happened? No, obviously not.
Well,
But
what can I
really
ask what the
thankful.
catalyst was? Like, is it too personal or?
No, it's you know what, that's just something that's, it's between me and me and my world. But it was something that just happened, and I actually had to reevaluate a lot of things, and it brought back a lot of emotions that I really thought that I had dealt with. And so I thought, you know what, let's just check in, let's just talk to somebody, probably won't matter, but let's do it anyway. And when I started talking and when I started to discuss these emotions I'm having, like, why is this an issue? And then it took that counselor to be like, okay, well, this sounds like a lot more that's underlining. And that's when that progression of going, oh, cool, I have unresolved trauma that I didn't know about. And that's where it goes. I really, really think that it's something that we need to realize, whether you had a traumatic past or you had a normal lifestyle, or, you know what, I really don't care. I really think that therapy is something that everybody should allow themselves grace to be vulnerable, sit down with somebody and actually feel comfortable saying, you know what, I'm actually not okay. And it doesn't have to be anything cute. It could be, like I said, being upset because they're out of almond milk at Starbucks. It can be not sleeping. It can be lack of libido. It can be not feeling connected to your friends. It can be emptiness when you want to do something, but you don't really want to do anything and you'd rather just sit down and stare at the wall. I think we need to give ourselves a
Oh my God, the
lot more
wall's moving.
grace. Yeah, but
Just
I
tripping
think
out on your own.
we're so in tune that, like, oh well, why are you in therapy? What's wrong with you? I'm like, first of all,
Well,
not your
so like
business.
I think that I think that notion of therapy being a bad thing is slowly, or may not even slowly, but has gone kind of to the wayside. Because you look at a lot of the most successful people in the world, whether it be comedians, actors, producers, directors, like, you know, like they're all in therapy, and it is
Yeah,
a good, because you can't, like, there's a difference between therapy and there's a difference between talking to your friend who has no professional experience trying to console you, sort of thing, right? There's a wide
which is a
diagram of
beautiful
like
bonding
space.
experience, but yeah, there's a big difference in that. And I like you said, I think that there's been a lot more openness when it comes to that, but there's a difference. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but there's a difference between going, oh my God, so and so famous is in therapy. Like, good for them. I'm so happy they're taking time for themselves.
They have all the
And
money and
then,
resources to be
well, no,
successful. Like, I mean, that's
not
what I
even
think.
that. It's also then saying, okay, I can't hang out tonight because I need a mental health night. And you're the same friend going, so you don't want to hang out? And be like, no,
Whoa.
I just need a night to myself.
See, if my friend said that, I'd be okay with that. It's when they're like, sorry, man, something came up. The guy's like, you can be, just tell me.
Okay, yeah, that's being a dick
If
to
you
your
want to bail, just bail. I don't give a shit. Like, that saves me the effort of going out and grabbing your ass. I don't give a shit.
That's a little different, but I really do think that it is becoming a little bit more acceptable and talked about, which I think is a beautiful thing. You don't have to have trauma to need somebody to talk to in a safe space. And I think that's what we really need to keep inside of us, is that we all deserve a safe space to talk about what the thoughts and the ideas that go on your brain you don't talk to anybody else about, because it is important and you are valuable and you are a valid human, and those little things in your head need that outlet. And I think counseling, therapy, whatever you want to call it, is a beautiful way to do that.
So, in therapy, and there's also like ways not around therapy, like things that help therapy, like being an artist, communicating, that sort of thing. And I feel from my point, and just discussing with you and knowing for you for a short point, that you're very much an artistic person, whether it be with your tattoos or drawing. Do you get any therapy from the art on your arms, or like from participating in some art form or anything? Or is your lifestyle analyst an art form itself?
I actually, it's really funny, is I give full credit to my tattoo sugar check and King Carden is like, this is all Haley. I actually find the thing that helps me the most is physical activity. I love running. I love yoga. I like working out. I like being active. And I find that if I need to think, if I need to process, like I took a week off to go in the middle of nowhere to go camping. And I hiked every day, all day, different trails up in Muskoka area. I went outside and I grounded myself. I got to be in touch with nature and just literally like word vomit out into the universe as I was hiking, as I was moving into this beautiful God created environment. I literally just word vomited the entire time, which was actually super helpful because I figured I'd be less likely to be murdered if someone thought I was crazy. So I was like, it's like a helpful thing. So no, like for me, it's give me a physical activity and I'm golden.
So like, I find that, physical activity is like a fantastic stress reliever. Sometimes I'll just be in such a mood, like, I just need to lift some heavy shit.
You need to do something.
Yeah. But it's hard for some people to get over that mental hurdle of actually getting dressed and going to the gym. And I don't know if you've been to the gym recently, but my God, the things that people wear. Like, it's a full-on fashion statement. And like, listen, not for nothing, like, women, do what you want, but you're almost, I see a lot of women at the gym that are almost like wearing lingerie. It is very distracting and very like unnerving to see.
Like a you thing though, because I think Pardon? Especially in that environment, what if it's your way of feeling comfortable and empowered and that sort of thing?
Like, no, it's not. Absolutely. Like, I don't mind it. It's just like, but like, so one day I was doing the rowing machine, right? And my love was here, and then this woman, this busty woman in like a tank top or not even like a bra, is just in front of me, like, and like I'm like, how do I not, like, I'm just like, this is like trying to avoid like being that, because like you go to the gym, and there are you see some of those guys or even some women where they're kind of standing there and they're just looking at everyone. And I'm like, it's very like, it's a very weird spot, the gym sometimes.
I think we all need to realize that the gym for a lot of people is a very safe environment. It is their outlet. It is their therapy. It is the way that they get out those emotions, they get out those feelings, they put, improving themselves and that type of thing. And how they choose to do it, how they choose to wear while they're there, whatever they do, that's their safe environment. So like as a female, I will tell you that if you are anybody at the gym and you are ever unsure about what to do in that environment, first of all, let's think about what you're going through your head right there. But also, the floor is a very beautiful thing to look at. But it is a safe space for a lot of
Yeah.
people. And I think we need to embrace that and allow that safe environment to feel there and allow that type of therapy, because for them that's exactly what it is. And I think that's a beautiful thing to have. I went running the other day, and when I was on my 1 week away, and I had to take a photo to send to my friends, because on one of the trails it was like, if you're on this trail, like this is a hunting trail, wear bright orange. And I looked down and I'm in head to toe black. And I'm like, oh good,
Black bear.
I'm going to die today.
So in case anyone knows, here's like the last whereabouts known of Joanne.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, so good to know. So my girlfriend Denise, she's like, hey, so please don't go on those trails again. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to die.
And so like I think it's, man, your story is so interesting. There's so many things that we can go down, but like I really want to talk a little bit more about the bursary that you have created. Now, this is brand new, right?
It is, yeah. It's in its final. So I did an unofficial version last year before, because COVID and everything. I was like, my accountant can deal with this later.
So let's because like I don't think people would understand the background behind it, right? Is like it's called 15 Houses, right?
It's called the 15 Houses Foundation, yes, and it is a educational bursary fund.
And it's based off of the fact that you aged out of foster care, and then like you were fortunate enough to get some bursaries that allowed you to go to post-secondary education, but not those resources aren't always available to other kids that foster out, right? So
oh sorry, I was like,
no, go ahead. Like tell us, where did this idea come from? What's the process been like? Because it's such a like cool thing that you're doing, and I feel like it's such a beautiful story of like a full circle story where like, you may not have been there, people may not have been there for you, but you want to be there for other people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what it is, it's an educational bursary foundation that is applicable for any Canadian foster kid between 18 and 25. Now, in the foster care system, you are 18, you're an official adult, you can move out, and you still get assistance until, I think, unless, correct me if I'm wrong, until 21. At least that's what it was when I aged out. But I don't know about you, but when you were 21, did you have any idea what you wanted to do in your world?
Dude, I fucking had a breakup and went and worked on cruise ships, which was fucking mind-boggling dumb, but also cool as shit. I have a whole fucking thing about it. It wasn't until I was like 26, 28 that I was like, oh, okay, now I'm ready to grow up.
Yeah. I should probably do this.
I don't want to grow up, period. I want to grow up a little bit. But
and for a lot of kids, that's the case. Now, as a normal or a regular quote unquote family, when you turn 21, your parents just don't go like, peace, enjoy the rest of your life, goodbye. They're still there for you, theoretically. Again, I know there's circumstances and different environment homes, it's not always the case, but as a general reference, your parents just don't decide you don't exist after 21. When you're a foster kid, unfortunately, because of space and time and money, when you turn 21, you are now out of the system. And again, it might have changed to 20 something like recently, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but
I'm not going to look it up, so we'll just go with you're smart enough.
Good. Okay. Well, so the thing is that I really noticed that when I was 21 and I was suddenly on my own and I had no one, because the government is my parents and the government just said, peace out, Girl Scout, have a great rest of your life. I worked my ass off. I worked 3 jobs. I applied for every scholarship and bursary and like any option to get money to go to school. And it took a lot of effort. Now, here's the thing. Only 44% of Canadian foster kids in Ontario actually graduate high school. Or 44%. That's as of 2019 statistic. Now, 44% of foster kids even graduating high school is so wrong. Like that alone is just boggling. That needs to be addressed and it needs to be worked on. And that is something that money isn't going to fix. But for going into post-secondary education, that number drops drastically. So what I want to do and what I have on my heart to do is to be able to provide any foster kid in Ontario between 18 and 25 an opportunity to go to school. It doesn't have to be university. It doesn't even have to be college.
It could be an apprenticeship. It could be a stewardship. It could be like whatever.
You can go to.
It could be an online. It could be an online course to fucking learn graphic design. Who knows?
0 shits are given. If you are doing something that is going to improve your life, it's going to improve your standing, it's going to make a life for you that you can be proud of, send me an email, shoot me. You can find it on my website. Give me the information. You have to apply. I do have quite a bit of applicants coming in, but I am pledging 10% of ISH Nutrition's yearly income to this foundation. So thankfully, we've been really lucky to be able to hand out about 5 of them already. My accountant has to have fun with that one, but I'm really hoping that this is something that kids can use to just be able to do something to make their life better, because something that most kids don't feel is that they actually deserve it, and they do.
Do you ever realize how cool that is that you've given away 5 education? Like, have you had a chance to pat yourself on the back, that sort of thing? I mean, that's pretty fucking dope.
No, but I definitely sat and like cried a lot because I just sat there and I was like, okay, one, I'm an adult.
A little bit. Or go on.
No, but I actually got to sit down and go, that's really cool. That is really cool. And what I like best about it is that it's because the clients are coming in, because people are coming in to see me. Part of your visit goes to this bursary foundation. So I appreciate everybody who comes to see me.
And I think the coolest thing about this is not only that you're paying it forward, but the people that you're helping, they're most likely to pay it forward. And it's going to be this great circle of like helping one another, helping the next generation, so on and so forth. So I think when it's all said and done, you're going to be on your like rocker on your deathbed, or you're going to be like, no, I did a good thing. I'm ready to go. You know, you're like, it's a very cool,
I'm good.
Cool. It's a cool thing that you're doing. And it's like, it's beyond cool actually, but like, so you have so much experience in terms of like foster homes, and like that has got to be a uniquely difficult experience, but at the same time you've probably met so many amazing men and women from those homes. And like, how do you has like all that knowledge from like bits and pieces from those parents affected how you become today? Or were you so young that kind of just went in when you're out the other, and that you're gonna like later on it's gonna hit you like, oh, aha, man, that this person meant this?
Actually, you know what? So I had a social worker. I was in, I think, my 6th or 5th foster home, and I had a social worker, and I'm going to say her name wrong, but from my memory, her name was Bev, and I think it's like Sibri or something like that. And she had a daughter, and this woman was just top notch. So she was one of the only person in the system who believed me and believed my story and believed what happened. And I remember her taking me with her own daughter to Circle Our Ranch in London, and we went horseback riding. And every, like, I don't remember how long, because you're a kid, so you don't remember time, but it felt frequently we would go to the Little Beaver restaurant in Komoka, and we would have breakfast. And I remember actually getting like a birthday present. Now, this may seem like a weird thing to be excited about, but like as a foster kid, you don't usually get like Christmas presents or birthday presents,
like
because reasons. Yeah, exactly. So,
hey there,
hello.
you know.
So the thing is that she would always be there for me. She was able to provide me like with
Oh,
that
that's an
support
ass
and
right
that
there.
love. And honestly, unfortunately, she passed on. Yeah, she passed on a little while ago, but she was a good woman, and I really hope that her daughter knows just how much that her love and her affection and her commitment to me meant to me. She was the only person who made me feel like I was a valuable individual, and that stuck with me. And I'm 34 and I still like get a little bit like teary-eyed when I think about it, because she was phenomenal. I had a couple of phenomenal social workers as well, who I kind of still keep in contact a little bit now, and they're, you know what, they deserve a lot more credit than what my cat is just playing around with everything now. So excuse me, just a brief moment.
What's your kid cat's name again?
This one is Roger. He's a little bit of a puffball.
Yep.
But I also have Steve, but Steve's sleeping.
All right, Chester, come here. Chester, come here, buddy. Someone wants to say hi. Yeah, big old stretch. There you go. Come on. Just woke up for a nap. Come here. Come on. Oh, Chester, you might make this thing difficult for you. Oh. Ah.
I like the orange cat.
Yeah, we have another cat named Nooks on the Moon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But what do you actually call her though?
Anook is her.
That makes sense.
Oh, you're stepping on my laptop.
That's why I had to keep taking Roger down, is because he's very jealous when I do anything other than give him attention. So he likes to like climb on everything. And sometimes I'm like, but I need to do work though. I'll give you attention when I'm done.
So when we got Anook, she was a foster care kitty cat, and when we first got her, no one told us not to rush our love towards her. So my wife she was up in the ceiling, and my wife reached her hand and got bitten by her, and then her hand swelled up, and we had to go to the hospital every 6 hours for transfusions, for medicine, sort of thing. And so we were like, oh, we need to give this cat an evil name. And so we were watching The Mummy, and it's like, oh, Nooks on the Moon
is what you did.
And so when she runs away, we can just yell, Nooks on the Moon, and Nooks on the Moon, and Nooks on the Moon. And then she says night at the end and runs away.
That's amazing. So you know what, something really funny, like not as a cat, but like as a human. I have a family. They are like, they're just the greatest humans in the entire world. About 10 years ago, my friend Kyla, I met her through another friend, Amanda, and we were chatting, whatever, and it was like Christmas time. And she's like, oh, so like, what are you doing for the holidays? And I'm like, same thing we do every night, you know, Pinky in the Brain style.
Oh,
and
did she respond appropriately? I hope so.
I don't remember, but we were talking like basically like nothing, because again, as a foster kid, my experience, it wasn't exactly Christmas, wasn't really a thing. Anyway, she's like, okay, joke's on you. You're coming to my house for Christmas. And I was like, no, thank you.
You started crying instantly, didn't you?
No, I was like, no, thank you. That sounds like a terrible idea. And like, next thing I know, I walk into this house, which turns out to be Grams and Grams's. And then there was like, and
oh no, we lost her for a little bit. She froze at a very inopportune moment.
That was so weird. I have no idea what just happened. It just like froze on me.
All right, let's go horizontal again, because that will fit the frame.
I have to use my phone because my internet apparently is not working. How's that?
It's not with Kojigo, is it?
Actually, I don't know, because it's not my internet. My neighbor and I share internet because it saves money. And so
fair enough.
It's his internet. So I think he might be like streaming, or I don't know. Anyway, is that okay?
So yeah, that's perfect. So you were talking last about cat story.
Yes, no, your cat's reaction to like you wanting to love them and like give them all the affection was definitely my reaction to like the first time having affection from a family. I was like, no, like abort mission. And I definitely had that reaction, but I mean, it's been 10 years and I could not be more thankful. I went for a walk with Gramps today. I got to go Christmas shopping with Kyla, my sister, yesterday. I talked to mom today about like buying washers and dryers. Like, it's really cool to actually have a family, but I definitely didn't just jump into it being like, yay, love me. I was very apprehensive, and they definitely taught me what it was like to have a family, what it was like to love, to accept love. My first Christmas with them, I was very sprung up on them, and mom wrapped a bunch of Ziploc bags and as gifts. And now every year I get like Ziploc bags wrapped up, and it's honestly my favorite present. But they definitely taught me how to appreciate family and values, and they, they're there for me when I need them. And I would not be the person I am today if I didn't have them in my life.
So I was 21 when I first joined cruise ships, right? And I remember the first Christmas. I was away from my family for the first time Christmas. Very sad. Christmas has been ruined, blah, blah. And I go to my friend's place. We're all living next to door to each other. So I go over to Nina's and Nina's and Claire's. And they're like, oh, here's your Christmas gift. And I'm like, you got me a gift? I literally had to leave and go cry for like 5 minutes after, because I was not expecting it. I was like, okay, Christmas, okay.
Okay.
So yeah, that like it really affected me in an insane way. I was like so emotional after it.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It's weird when you're like, oh my God, human connection. What do you mean?
All right, now let's go into some more lighthearted topics. I see your Captain America poster in the background.
Oh, my wall of art. Yeah.
How much like, what are you interested in? Like, are you interested in art? Are you interested in comics? That's like, what do you find interesting in the world today that gets you like up in the morning to have some fun and be ridiculous with?
You know what? I like comic books. I like reading comic books. I'm not insane and following every detail with every storyline. And
my friends are, and it's annoying. So good.
Yeah, well, I'm not that person, but I love reading it. I love looking into it. I have a whole comic book collection over on the corner, like my bookcase over here. I love reading, anything to do that my brain can just kind of escape. Working out, exercising, like I said, yoga, running, all of that. I love B-rated movies. And I don't just mean like B-rated movies. I'm talking like, oh my goodness, they have to be good B-rated. So
I pride myself on being a film expert of sorts. The fuck is a V-rated film?
Okay, so we're talking like for example, there's a movie called Shark Lake, and it's with Dolph Lundgren is his name. Is that him?
Lundgren?
Sure,
From
yeah,
Rocky?
him. Yeah, he was in it. But like it's this shark that is now in a lake, and it attacks people, and it's just the greatest thing ever.
It's called Lake Placid. Jesus, with Oliver Platt. Come on, man. This is a crocodile thing.
Nope, it's fine. It's called Shark Lake. And there's another one called Arctic Shark, and these sharks are found in the Arctic, so obviously their fins can cut through ice.
And you know what? Fuck you right now, because now I have this shark song stuck in my head because I always mention the sharks. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. You are very, very welcome. So yeah, so I love terrible movies, and it's really funny because like my friends won't let me pick movies because I will pick like the worst movies, but like I enjoy them. I think they're great.
So are you a fan of like Shudder? Because there's a lot of like great terrible movies on that app.
I don't actually have that. I just stick with the basics. I've got Netflix, Amazon Prime, which all the terrible movies are on Amazon Prime, and of course Disney.
Do yourself a favor and look at Shudder. You'd find some really great stuff there.
Yeah, I'll have to think that. Mom,
if you want a tidbit on that, my wife signed up for a month for free because they do a month free subscription, and then she signed out, and then she kept on. So she got like and then she just signed up again. For the free month, and so you got like 3 free months. So
interesting. I'll have to give it a try. No, I have Disney Plus. So mom and dad love Disney. The whole family loves Disney. Yep. And I went to Disney for the first time. My sister surprised me with Operation Mwahaha and surprised me with Disney. There's actually a really embarrassing video of me figuring out that I'm actually going to Disney World, and she's not allowed to show that to anybody.
What's your sister's name? I'll just write this down.
You know what?
Yeah.
We don't need to know. We don't need
This
to know
can be
that.
this can be like a mid-credit scene for this podcast. What are you talking about?
No, because there's a very I ugly cry. It's great. But I love Disney. I love Disney music. Love Disney movies. I love going to Disney. It's the worst thing about COVID issue with not traveling is I haven't been to Disney in like 2 years or a year, 2
Now,
years.
are we
I don't know.
talking world or land?
No, world, 100%.
Okay.
I went
All
to
right.
Disneyland once.
Just
It was a
checking.
lot of
Just
fun.
making sure. Just checking. We all know
Yeah,
world's
no, it
better
was
than
really
land.
good. Yeah, I like it. But no, honestly, I enjoy anything that gets me moving, gets me active and works on my brain, except for the B-rated movies. Obviously, that's my own joy.
And so, why do you get enjoyments from bad movies?
I don't know.
Does it give you hope for your own storyline ideas? Like, oh, I should write this down because at least it could get made.
No, do you know what it is? Is because I love that they put so much heart and soul into these movies, and these actors genuinely were excited to get this role. These actors wanted to work. These actors memorized the lines. They showed up on set. They did their job. And I think that people don't, I feel like they need to be appreciated. I mean, it's not a great movie, but that's not their fault.
Listen, I will tell you this from a person who works in the film and television industry. Like, I will never really shit on a movie,
Because they tried really
because I know
hard.
how much work goes into it. Right? There's money
Yeah.
and there's like people. That being said, there are some movies that are unredeemable. Like what
Oh, absolutely. But I really love, because you know that you're watching something that somebody called their mom and was like, oh my God, I got a part. How cool is that?
you know
And
what's
I like that.
you know what's a great bad movie, and this is not my own opinion, but from Greenland with Jared Butler, I hear is fantastic.
Okay, well, anything Gerard Butler is in is going to be fantastic because the man's a saint.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Law Abiding Citizen is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Right? That plot
Right?
twist at the end.
Oh, so good.
Every time I pick up a cell phone, I'm like,
That's probably one of my favorite scenes. Yeah, it's like, fuck you, bitch. You just got
well,
owned.
because he's like, really, a cell phone? And she's like, yes. And then, poof.
Oh my god. One of my favorite bad movies that my wife and I watched is a movie called Patient Zero.
Okay,
So it stars Matt Smith, who you might know from Doctor Who.
obviously.
Stanley Tucci, who
Met him. He's lovely.
have you actually met him?
Met Matt Smith, not Stanley Tucci. If I met Stanley Tucci, he'd be my husband right now.
I imagine they're both wonderful human beings. But the premise is that Matt Smith is a scientist for the United States Army, and he's gotten bitten from zombies, and but he hasn't gotten infected. He's the only one who can communicate with the zombies. So they always bring in zombies into the lab so he can try and communicate and find out. And like the premise is fucking fantastic, so good, great cast. But the execution is just so fucking terrible.
It's like the difference between White House Down and Olympus Has Fallen.
Fuck. White House Down is good though. I mean, both of those movies.
It was good, but like Olympus Has Fallen was definitely like a better version of the exact same plot line.
Because man, I mean, like, I like White House Down because that's the Channing Tatum, Jamie Foxx one, right? Where it's
Jamie
like
Foxx,
more
yeah.
like action comedy, like Independence Day sort of thing, which I'm more
Exactly.
inclined to. Olympus Has Fallen is more like serious, like action sort of thing. So it's, I don't know how to describe it. It's like it's one of those ones like they're trying, like for that example, Olympus Has Fallen and the other one, it's like they're trying to be the middle child instead of like picking the lane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they should have gone full comedy. What is it? I think is they try and take themselves too seriously with film. To be honest,
It's true.
it's but if you're looking for like a movie that you're like, oh, it's so good, but damn it, it's bad. That's what I'd recommend.
Yeah, that's fair. I can appreciate that one. No, I love movies.
And also a movie that's fucking fantastic, as we're talking the movie train, Love and Monsters is fucking an amazing
I did
film.
enjoy that one. I had somebody recommend that to me. I did watch it. And also just something that was recommended to me that I just binged the entire 5 seasons and like since November 10th was Big Mouth.
Yeah, it's I can only do bits and pieces of those seasons. It's a lot to take in sometimes.
It's a
they
lot to
they
take
go
in, but
they go
like,
they go full board to the wall and that sort of thing.
yeah, I didn't think I would enjoy it because it was just genuinely really funny. But I went through all 5 seasons since like November 10th, and I'm like, ooh, that was a choice that I just made.
So like, how much of a fan are you of comedies and like ridiculous but smart sort of thing?
I mean, it depends. I'm more of an action person. I would rather watch something get blown up than anything else. Like I would much rather action, violence, like that type of movie, than anything else.
Okay, so like my recommendations for you for like TV shows, if you're looking for like some weird, outcentric comedies, Man Seeking Woman is fantastic. Miracle Workers is fantastic. And The Great are all highly recommended by both me and my wife, as those are the shows that we actually make time to
The
watch
Grace I
together.
hear really good things about. That's on my to watch list.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those shows where like I watch it because of the comedy and the great acting, and she's like, pretty dresses and funny happens.
Yeah, exactly. That's fair.
And
I
so,
respect that.
so like, and speaking of art forms and like movies and television, are there any sort of like things outside of physical fitness that help you with your mental state and your therapy and everything like that, or?
No, to be honest, that's pretty much where my life is, and those are things that I enjoy doing, and those are the outlets that I have. I really can't draw worth shit. I'm not a creative individual when it comes to making things or building things or that sort of thing. I give full credit to people who are. And like I cook, I love to be in the kitchen. I cook and I bake, but those are pretty much my outlets that I have, and I find that they are quite successful with it.
And so we'll wrap up shortly. I kind of want to ask you this one question, because like you're doing so many great things involved with like 15 homes, and talking and going to therapy and talking about self-improvement and that sort of thing. Has there ever been the notion about making it a program where you talk to schools or talk to young people? Like, is that ever an idea that floats in your head or anything like that, or has been pushed onto you by any chance?
I mean, I would definitely be open to doing something. I think I would need a little bit more work on myself to be able to properly convey and to lose the ego when it comes to being able to convey things to the public. But I definitely would love to be able to do a little bit more work with the community and with children, especially kids in foster care and young adults in foster care, because I do have a very unique set of skills, if I take that line from Liam Neeson.
I was gonna say, yeah. Okay.
But I do feel that I do understand where a lot of them are coming from, and it's not necessarily to say that I can change your life, but at least, let's give some direction. And I think a lot of foster kids who age out of the system or who are in the system really and truly just take the value of what they are based off of what's been done to them. And that's not fair, and it's not right. And I really, really, really like venomously have angst, if you will, against that, because what happened to you doesn't make you who you are. What happened to you makes you the person you could become. It is a attributing factor to it. But every person who has ever had trauma done to, with, around anything like that, any hardships that you've come across, you have a choice. And I think this is what people need to realize. You can choose to allow you to define who you are. You can let it be that talking point. You can let it be that excuse that you have for why you're so angry, bitter, selfish, whatever it is. You can allow what happened to you to dictate how you act, or you can use it as a motivator to do better, be stronger, be a light in the world that created darkness for you. And I think that is what really needs to be expressed and talked about, and given that confidence to be that, not necessarily to be the person they think you should be, but be the person you want to be, and that you deserve to be.
And I think that's an important issue to like have, and that's why I kind of wanted you on, is because like it's so hard for people to make those right decisions, and you're giving people an opportunity to make those right decisions, with 15 homes and with lifestyle endless with Ish Nutrition. And like we already covered Ish Nutrition, but like I think it's such a cool thing. I got to see you actually do a thing with your friend. It was awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, your episode is coming out,
I think tomorrow.
Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh, Tuesday. Okay. Yeah, I knew it was coming up.
Yeah, and it's the best one of the season, in my opinion.
I'm excited for it. I'm apprehensive, but I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, you should be. I had some like googly eyes, special effects. That's
amazing. Done. I love
it. Now let's wrap it up here. Is there anything? I mean, is there anything else you'd like to say? Like, say someone's like looking at getting therapy. Like, what would you suggest them? Like, should they just do it? Like, was there like a site to go to where like to know? Like, what are your final thoughts on this whole thing?
I would honestly say that it is the most freeing thing you can possibly be to finally be comfortable in your own skin. And in order to do that, sometimes it means having to have some very uncomfortable conversations with someone you don't know. And that's also the blessing of therapy, and also, or counseling, or talking to a spiritual advisor, or whatever route you want to take. Reach out to, speak to your medical professionals. Reach out on Instagram. There's tons of like ways you can actually find local counseling that is actually pretty great. Google, I mean, honestly, Google, open up the conversation to those around you. If you're in the Sarnia area, we have wonderful, I think Life Seasons is a really good one. They have phenomenal practitioners, the Health Counseling Center. And of course, there's, smaller practices that are available as well. But honestly, the best thing I can say is just take the step. Just take it, just do it. And do it in the way that works for you. Do it over the phone, do it in the video or in person. Don't care. Just
but like, it's like, but like, how would you, what are some of the signs that you would look for finding the right therapist? Because I mean, like you and I probably both have tons of life experience where like we've been in situations where like people are in positions of their jobs that shouldn't be in those positions, right?
Yeah, and I think with anything else, you really have to connect with who you're working with. I was very lucky. I found a counselor that I connect with, and I think she's absolutely amazing. She's helped me way more than I really thought was possible. The one thing I would say to somebody who is questioning about it, or who is seeing somebody right now who just maybe doesn't feel amazing, is to be honest about it. You don't have to stick with somebody that doesn't make you feel comfortable or makes you feel that you can open up to them. And if it's within your comfort level, have that open discussion. Maybe you just have two different communication skills. Maybe there's a multitude of reasons, but it's okay to be selective when it comes to seeking out a counselor, a therapist, a spiritual advisor, a Reiki practitioner, whoever it is that you choose to speak to. You're allowed to be selective and listen to your gut, listen to your heart. If you find somebody you click with, then you know what, take that step and sit down and start chatting. If you find you don't, like I had a couple of them that I'm like, you were amazing, I just don't connect with you, and I think I want to try somebody new.
And I think that's important, is like people need to know their own worth and like be stubborn, be egotistical sometimes. Those are moments.
I think it's that ability to realize that you're in therapy and it's supposed to be, or counseling or spiritual, whatever it is, it's a safe space. And if you're not safe in that space, you're not going to help heal or grow or have that, and to be open about that to the person you're seeing. Counseling is all about being open and communicating. So if you're comfortable, maybe say, you know what, I'm not comfortable in this environment, I'm not comfortable over the phone, I'm not comfortable over email, whatever it is, but make that call and do what's best for you, because in this circumstance, you're allowed to be selfish.
And what's been best for me is having you on this podcast. You've been a fantastic guest this evening. Where can people find you on all your social Instagrams, or Instagrams, Twitter, whatever it is, they want to get a hold of you and like ask advice or thing? Because I feel like you're more than likely to actually be able to help people and like maybe give a voice to the voiceless sort of thing.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on, that's for sure. And I'm no means an expert when it comes to things like this. This is all just my
I can attest to that, not an expert, whatever.
It's not an expert, but it is my life. It is my activities, my own personal opinion from experiences and things like that. I love open dialogue. If you have any questions, would like to book an appointment with ISH Nutrition, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at ISH Nutrition. You can also email me at Joanne at ishnutrition.com. And I work out of Blue Water Nutrition, which is a phenomenal health food store and holistic clinic in Sarnia, Ontario. We have a holistic practitioner, an Ayurvedic doctor, a naturopath, an osteopath. Like, we're a full clinic, so you can also find me there if you'd like to set up an appointment.
All right. Well, Joanne, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast.
Thank you.
You're a beautiful soul, and I wish nothing but the best for you. So cheers.
Well, thank you very much. Bye.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with Joanne Fearns. Like I said, very special person, and she's going to just continue to do more and better things with her life. That's my honest opinion. If you want to get a hold of her or have any questions for 12 Homes or Ish Nutrition, that sort of thing, you can find her on Ish Nutrition on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I think TikTok as well. So that's it for this week. I know we're a little sporadic with the episodes coming out and everything, but 'tis the holiday season and I am very busy at my real shoot job and everything. So I'm going to try and keep on bringing you guys content, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So until then and down the road, we'll see you there. Cheers.